Alpha 3 Tango Foxtrot Sierra, WA3TFS.
Roger, Roger, TFS. What's the name there?
Roger, Roger, TFS. What's the name there?
Name here is Jim, Juliet India Mike, and located just south of the city of Pittsburgh in western Pennsylvania. And running 5 watts QRP here on a homebrew transceiver. Go ahead.
Okay, and Jim, I'm copying you saying you're running 5 watts at the moment?
I'm copying you saying you're running 5 watts at the moment?
That is correct.
Okay, I'm copying you on Milford. Let me see if I can copy you on my local antenna. Give me a little, about 10 seconds to tell me about your antenna system, and let me listen on my local antenna.
Your antenna system, and let me listen on my local antenna.
Okay, I'm bringing you 9 plus here into Pittsburgh, but the antenna is a loaded L antenna, the point to about 60 feet, and then slopes down, pointing west to the about the 18-foot level there, or the end of the antenna. So it's actually pointing towards the west here, but you've got a really good signal, so there must be another loaded eastern part in that direction.
Roger, Roger, Joel. Well, I'm sorry, Jim. I went through my selections there, and I have what's called an input source indicator. It's a little chevron on the right-hand side that will show where I am when I go through my rotary selector. I'm running 4 internet SDR receivers. The audio, they're tablets, and you got the audio coming up on a 6-position rotary switch along with my local receiver, and as I search around through them to my local radio, I have indication of lights that show where I am, so you can see what you sounded like in Arlington, in Georgia, and in New York. Roger.
Georgia and in New York. Roger.
I'll have to take a look at that and see what it sounds like. It's really tell itself, so it's called signal. What's it look like on your spectrum?
Actually, Jim, I've got too much noise to be able to give you an accurate look on my spectrum analyzer. You know, when the signal's down there, are you reading as much noise as you are modulation, Roger?
Are you reading as much noise as you are modulation, Roger?
Understand, yeah. Well, this is a homebrew transceiver, one of many. If you look on my website here, WA3TFS.com, you see a whole bunch of other ones that are on there. And I was just sitting here on the bench working on a new one, a new QRP rig that will be good for like parts on the air and portable operation. And just finishing that up. Thanks very much for the signal report, and now I'll look for it on your website here. Back to you, WA3TFS.
Roger, Roger, Jim. Well, gosh, best laid plans of mice and their men. My Milford just told me to get lost, so I'm back on now with Milford, and that was the main one I was copying you with. I had about a 6 dB, your signal was about 6 dB over the Milford noise level, so there was enough to be able to get a pretty accurate display on my frequency meter. So if you want to take a look at that, it's you know, on the circuit there, and I'll tell you what it is. It has, the spectrum analyzer has 3 white marks on it. The one to the left is 100 cycles. The furthest white mark to the left of the spectrum analyzer is right at the 100 cycle mark. The first mark to the right is 1 kc, then there's a blank space which is 2 kc, and then the second mark to the right is 4 kc. Roger, Roger?
And then the second mark to the right is 4 kc. Roger, Roger?
Very good. I put it just narrow because I'm running a full filter in it. Go ahead.
Roger, Roger. And why don't you tell me what is the name of that radio that you're building, Roger?
Radio that you're building, Roger?
rig I'm using is homebrew. The one I'm building is also a homebrew transceiver. And I've actually done a CW version of it, and that'll be published in QST here in the coming months. And this is a single sideband version of it, and it's strictly on 40 meters. But at the moment, it only runs 15 outputs. I'm sure you wouldn't hear me on that one. Go ahead.
Roger, Jim. Well, gosh, just looking at your signal, you look to have about a 2 to 3 dB dynamic range, which is right where you want to be. But it looks to be about 2 to 2.5 dB dynamic range. Your audio curve is very crisp, understandable, and that's the way I would want to set that audio up, the EQ curve, because you know you're always going to be at a disadvantage with QRP, because you know you're going to have noise, you're going to have sideband visitations, and so you want that audio to be just as intelligible as possible, and that's what you've got, Roger.
And that's what you've got, Roger.
Well, thanks for the report. It's really a simple system in here. I just run the speech amplifier, which is an LM386 IC. Use that as the speech amplifier, using a handheld microphone into it, dynamic. And the output of that feeds into a diode double sideband generator, and then that dumps out to an amplifier stage, and then in through the filter, and then out through the IF and some mixing and so forth, using a DDS system to control the frequencies. And that's about it. So it's a fairly simple system and seems to work pretty well. I mean, I've built, I think it's probably the 9th version of this thing that I'm working on right now. So I've got quite a few of them built up here and tried different configurations. One of them I built, this radio works 160 through 10 meters, and one of the other ones I built, based on the same design, is 160 through 2 meters. So I like to experiment, I like to build that.
Roger, Jim. Well, it's doing a good job. And what did you say your output power was?
On the radio I'm using right now, it's 5 watts, right on 5 watts. The radio I'm building will also be 5 watts, but at the moment it's only 15 dBm, so it's about 0.4 watts.
Alrighty, Roger, Jim. Well, gosh, that 5 watts is getting out, sir. Like I say, I'm using the Milford PA SDR, but I did hear you on some of the other SDRs around the country, so that little 5 watts is doing you a good job. Let me say 73 to you, sir, and thanks for dropping by. Again, if you want to hear that radio, go to YouTube, do a call letter search, KC9VKV, followed by the word logbook, and we'll have it uploaded by tomorrow noon. 73, Jim. Catch you later. This is KC9VKV, the Friday afternoon Qso-Vlog net. If you have a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
If you want to check out, give me a shout.